welcome to our podcast, episode 2. And yeah, we still don't have a name, but I promise you, episode 3, we will have a name. We'll have a lot more things situated. But yeah, this is the new background we were talking about. Let us know if you like it. We'll switch it up a little bit if y'all don't. But yeah, welcome to episode 2. This is kind of like a smoother episode than, last week's. Last week was kind of, a whole bunch of topics to go over. This one's a little bit more calm, but still, pretty exciting things in here, crazy things in here, and hopefully we break some news to y'all and help y'all learn a thing or two.
Yeah, and kind of start with like the bigger news and kind of go down in order. Start with WWE news, and big news of the week is we had night 1 draft results. We had night 1 this past Friday. Kind of go through it pretty quick. We had Bianca Belair being the number 1 draft pick, which I think was, I'm gonna say, surprising because she's phenomenal, but also there's some other people that you could definitely make an argument could be the number 1. But the number 1 pick was Bianca, and she is staying on SmackDown. You had Jey Uso going to Raw, or staying on Raw, rather. Number 3, we had our first call-up officially, and that is Carmelo Hayes officially to SmackDown. We've seen him a few weeks back, or like maybe a month back or something like that. He did have a match on SmackDown.
Austin Theory.
Yeah. So yeah, he's on SmackDown now. We had Seth Rollins, who stays on Raw. Randy Orton stays on SmackDown. We have Braun Breaker, who was on NXT and SmackDown, but is now on Raw, so excited for that. Nia Jax moves to SmackDown. Liv Morgan stays on Raw. LA Knight stays on SmackDown. Ricochet stays on Raw. Bloodline minus Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso stay on SmackDown. Sheamus goes to Raw. AJ Styles stays on SmackDown. Alpha Academy stays on Raw. Andrade moves to SmackDown. And in the last pick on TV, we had Kiana James being called up from NXT and officially on the main roster for Raw. Very interested to see what they do with her. I'm assuming if she's being drafted on TV, they have big plans for her. So yeah, pretty excited for her there. And after the show was over, we had a few more draft picks announced where we had Alba Fire and Isla Dawn being moved to Raw. Baron Corbin gets called up from NXT and is on SmackDown now, so we do have the split of Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. Then we had Cedric and Ashante the Adonis staying on SmackDown. Ivar and Shayna Baszler both stay on Raw. The OC stay on SmackDown, and Zoe Stark stays on Raw. As you can tell, wasn't a lot of big changes, and I think that was the biggest problem with this draft is there wasn't many changes.
Yeah, it was kind of a boring show. They had the legends come out, like Michelle McCool, Tori Wilson, the Dudley Boys, Bradshaw, Teddy Long. They all came out and made the picks, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, just kind of boring picks. I'm assuming they're kind of saving the exciting ones for Monday. Yeah. But yeah, kind of a boring episode of SmackDown, unfortunately. But we did, however, get a Carmelo Hayes versus Cody Rhodes match, which was pretty cool. We seen like a little botch at the end, maybe, or no telling what they planned before the match. But looks like Cody, went for a cutter midair or something and landed on his shoulder a little hard. But yeah, that was, I guess, kind of like the main talking point, like as far as like a positive thing was Carmelo Hayes versus Cody.
Yeah, then we also had Roman Reigns, who was supposed to be in this draft, but was withdrawn from the draft. I don't remember, or if it was said how or why he was moved or not in this draft. But
they said because he wasn't going to be on the roster in the foreseeable future. Okay. That was a reason they gave to us.
Alright, so fair enough. But yeah, so the draft, not what exactly I expected and wanted, but it is what it is. Like you said, probably on Raw this Monday we'll be getting a lot more moves, and probably we have I think we have a bigger pool anyway, so we'll definitely hopefully see some changes. But on some sad news, we did have some WWE releases that happened this past week. A pretty surprising one, and a guy who I didn't think would leave or be let go, and that is Cameron Grimes. Obviously, Cameron Grimes had a fairly good run in NXT. A lot of people enjoyed the character he had. Had a great feud with LA Knight from stuff I look back on. And it just really sucks that because he posted a video after he was released, and you can tell when people are like sad, and you can tell when people are heartbroken, and he was absolutely devastated, and I really feel bad for him.
Yeah, but he had a really good character before. Convinced that he could, come up with another new character. He also said that he kind of helped like put out some WrestleMania matches with some of the producers and whatnot, and he helped produce some of the Mania matches. So he has some experience there now as well. So he has like a lot of things going for him. Obviously, good in the ring as well. So I think he'll be picked up by someone. As soon as his 90-day is up, I think he'll be signed to somebody. And I also think he'll probably be back in WWE at some point. It just kind of feels like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to compare it to Cody and Drew, but I can definitely see him being somebody who might have to put their name out there and say, "Hey, I'm a phenomenal talent," like he is, and go back and just redo his thing. Obviously, Trevor Lee, he'll probably be known as on the Indies, so really excited for what he holds. Obviously, unfortunate situations for him. Some other people who got released, we had Jinder Mahal, Senga, and Veer all get released. We also had Von Wagner, Xia Li, and Zion Quinn. Now, Zion Quinn, we didn't see too much. My last match I remember was he was in a squash match with Braun Breaker on an episode of SmackDown. Xia Li is a bit interesting because it felt like somebody who was just always not, I'm going to say a filler spot, but it was just like a reliable person if you needed them to win or lose. It was believable either way. Von Wagner, I know a lot of people are excited about that guy in NXT who a lot of people are really fond of, especially the guys like Cultaholic. I know are big fans of him. But yeah, sucks for everybody, and obviously you don't want anybody to lose their jobs at the end of the day. And from people I talked to who may have lost their jobs, I can always tell that it's a hard time to go through. But yeah, obviously hope everybody bounces back and finds their feet and back in pro wrestling.
Yeah, but then now we go to quite the opposite of a WWE release, and we get a re-signing of Drew McIntyre. The Rock, funny enough, was the one to announce it. He presented Drew with a Claymore sword at a dinner. He said that he promised it to him when he made the deal that he was going to do it, and he did it. Yeah, pretty cool. It's said to be a 3-year deal. We don't know like the dollar amount or anything. But yeah, WWE gets Drew for 3 more years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure as soon as I seen it, I sent you the tweet. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not very happy with them announcing that he re-signed with WWE. I kind of wish they played into what I thought was going to be the kind of CM Punk style feud where he ends up winning the belt and he goes on a hiatus potentially and kind of maybe goes into indies and maybe defends the belt there a little bit. But now that it's officially he resigned, obviously that is on Twitter, so it could be out of kayfabe. I don't know if they'll mention that on Raw and SmackDown and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously great news for Drew. I know a lot of people wanted him in both companies. People who were tribalistic towards AEW really wanted him. People, obviously, big WWE fans wanted him to stay in WWE. And yeah, I'm sure he got paid really well. I mean, he's a big name guy, not only just a phenomenal talent, but also generates a lot of revenue, I'm sure, for the company. So yeah, very excited for that.
Yeah, especially recently with his new character, new heel character that he kind of developed really interesting, and I know he got big deal with that. But now we'll kind of go into a little bit of Backlash news. And yeah, we got a couple of Backlash matches announced. We'll kind of quickly go over those. Obviously, we will have a predictions video for this coming up relatively soon. But we just kind of want to quickly go over it right now. And our first match, presumably the main event, Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in a singles match for the undisputed title. I mean, this is gonna be a really good match. First time, they've came in the ring with each other, even though they've been together in different companies multiple times. So yeah, pretty exciting, pretty cool time for Cody and AJ. I think this is something that they both wanted. But then going forward, we have Damian Priest versus Jey Uso, another kind of hyped up one. A lot of people are saying Jey Uso is gonna finally get his first singles title. I kind of don't think so. I think they'll keep it on Damian Priest as of now. But then we have Bayley versus Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton, and this is one that I'm really excited for. Just announced this Friday, obviously. And yeah, I think this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, a lot of the triple threat women's matches we've been getting the past year and a half, or like 2 years really, have always been pretty good. I look back at SummerSlam last year where you had Bianca, you had Bianca, Charlotte, and Asuka, I believe. I think that was the match. And then obviously Io cashes in there. I think at Fastlane you also had Io, Asuka, and somebody else. I think Charlotte as well.
And obviously the Drew, Gunther, Sheamus at Mania. So yeah, a lot of good things with triple threat matches. And this is gonna be a out of country match too, so the crowd's always more hyped, and that brings it more life to the show kind of. Then up next we have the Kabuki Warriors facing Bianca and Jade, and this one I don't know who I'm going to pick when we do our predictions video for this. I'm gonna have to kind of think about it a little bit more after this coming Raw. But yeah, I don't know who's gonna win this one because I think Bianca and Jade could really win these titles, but at the same time, I think the titles kind of look good on the Kabuki Warriors as well.
Yeah, and then in our last match that we have announced so far, we have Randy Orton and Kevin Owens teaming up, taking on the Bloodline and the combination of Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. So his presumable first match in WWE will be on a pay-per-view or a PLE. So kind of cool for him. I'm interested to see what style he brings to WWE. Or I don't know if he'll keep the New Japan style, maybe the more hard-hitting. Because I know a lot of people are. Some people are torn between how they feel about him. Some people think he's kind of mid and stuff like that. Some people think, he's very solid in the ring. So, interested to see how this goes. But yeah, pretty solid card so far. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah.
After that, we did get some King of the Ring announcements. We have a few of the participants announced. We have Gunther, Xavier Woods, and Drew McIntyre declaring for the King of the Rings pay-per-view. So, as of that, I mean, obviously my pick already, a few months or a month early is going to be Gunther. I mean, I hope they do the style of like the old school way where it's like multiple matches on one night. Just because that's more fun. I know it's way hard on the wrestlers, so I can understand why they don't do it, but would really enjoy that style of wrestling to really see who is, the King of the Ring. But yeah, so maybe we get a Gunther and Drew potential matchup, or maybe even Xavier Woods tries to go for another King of the Ring win.
Yeah.
But after that, we have some more TKO news, kinda, and that is Nick Kahn selling all of his TKO stock. Now, I know a lot of people kind of freaked out about this because people didn't know if this meant that he was leaving or if he was, something was going on with him behind the scenes. At the end of the day, I personally think it was just him trying to get a big bag. I think he had over like 200,000 stocks in TKO, and he made over like $22 million off of it. So, I mean, that's a good payday if you ask me. I'd definitely take that if he wants to lend some money over here. And also, along with that, Mr. McMahon also sells all of his TKO stock as well, so now he has 0 stock in the company. Pretty much solidifies that he is officially gone from WWE for the first time in probably like 50, 60 years probably. So obviously a lot of situation over there that I don't really know the full details about. So I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but as of right now I'm saying it's a good thing.
Yeah, obviously, the whole situation with McMahon is, don't even want to talk about it. It's that crazy. But if you know, and obviously you could read up on it if you wanted to. But going to some more positive news, we have Trick Williams winning the NXT champion. And I mean, what a good match. I didn't watch it live. I watched it a few days after. And man, it was a great match. It was amazing. Obviously, he beat Dragunov at Spring Breakin' for the main event, and it was just a really good match. The finish especially kind of had everybody talking. He goes for the H-bomb and the knee as well, and Swerve goes for the knee. Swerve lands the knee first, and yeah, Swerve wins. He's the champion. Or Trick. Trick. Swerve. But yeah, Trick wins. He's the champion, and yeah, I mean, really excited to see, what his reign is going to be, because I'm assuming it'll probably be a pretty long reign. I don't see, like a upfront, contender for him, like potentially Tony D'Angelo, but he's also potentially getting called up soon, so, no telling who's going to be next for him, but I am really excited to see that. But sticking to NXT, we have some more news coming for this Tuesday, I believe it is, but Natalya versus Lola Vice in an NXT Underground match. Obviously, Lola Vice having experience in the MMA world, but Natalya being a long time WWE vet basically. we'll see what happens with this. Kind of excited to see how they present it and how it's gonna look. This also gonna be in the UFC arena,
Well, no,
or is that the pay-per-view?
Yeah, that's the pay-per-view that happens in a
Okay.
few weeks. But yeah, I'm interested to see how Natalya approaches this match. We haven't really, at least from my experience of watching Natalya, I don't think we've ever seen like a more real style, like a more MMA style to her game, which I'm interested to see. And I think it's very refreshing when people try new things. I mean, even when Cena was trying to pull out, new moves that you never think he would ever be able to do in like 2015 and stuff like that. So yeah, interested to see what she brings to the table. Should be a good match. I think Shayna Baszler is going to be accompanying a little Vice in the match, and I think Natalya's having somebody else come out with her.
I forget her name, the blonde girl. I can't come across it right now. But yeah, pretty cool. Really happy to see this match and how they're gonna present it, and if it'll be like kind of like a thing moving forward. Like if they do this, whenever they want a match like this, when it makes sense to, if they keep doing it.
Yeah, and next up we have Carlito turns on Rey Mysterio and LWO. After there was a segment between Rey Mysterio and all of LWO in the ring, Santos comes out and he kind of says, when I told you I didn't attack Dragon Lee, I was being honest. I actually wasn't. And then the footage plays, and then it comes out to be Carlito, and then after that he attacks Rey Mysterio and kind of leaves. Don't know what this means for. I mean, obviously we're gonna get a Carlito and Rey. That could be something that we could see added to Backlash as like another filler match. But yeah, could be fun. Don't know really what to expect. My expectations aren't too high, if I'm being completely honest, but should be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's kind of funny in the footage as well, because you see Carlito kind of run and like he attacks him from behind. Dragon Lee doesn't see him, and then he walks out the door. Then he walks back through the door. And he's like, "Oh, Dragon Lee, you're hurt." And then he kind of helps him up. It's kind of a little funny clip.
Yeah. Also in the news, we had this is also a spoiler, so if you don't want to get spoiled for WWE Speed, then skip ahead a little bit. But we have Ricochet winning the Speed champion. He beat Johnny Gargano, I believe, in the finals. So hopefully that could be a fun match to see on Twitter. I did see like a little shot of the belt. I never seen like a full belt. I know we kind of talked about it off camera. I didn't really personally like it, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I did like it. I thought it was cool because obviously it has to be something different, and it's like kind of like an internet belt in a way, you know what I mean? So yeah, it had to be different, and I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all the WWE news from what I remember. If there's anything else to add, we'll kind of might go back to it. But we're going to switch over to the AEW news and topics. First off, with the biggest news of the week, and that is Tony Khan gets injured and attacked by none other than Jack Perry and the Elite. Very interesting segment. I wasn't watching this live, but I was on my phone and I kind of started seeing the tweets of like, "Oh, Tony Khan came out." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I kind of thought he said before that he didn't want to be on TV. He just didn't want to play that type of role. He wanted to be only behind cameras. But he comes out. He reinstates Jack Perry to AEW, but then soon after Jack Perry attacks him, the Elite come out. They hit the Tony Khan driver, formerly known as the Meltzer driver. So, yeah, really interesting. I thought it was hilarious, to be honest. I know a lot of people were kind of torn. They're kind of saying, "Oh, they're just copying WWE," but at the end of the day, it's still a funny segment. So, yeah. What'd you think, though?
Yeah, I mean, really cool for Jack Perry, especially. He's getting a lot of heat, obviously. And he's becoming pretty popular off of it. And he's like a growing name in AEW. So, if all of this was built, specifically for Jack Perry to have this moment, then I guess AEW, they did pretty good by maybe showing the footage and all of that. If, it resulted in Jack Perry becoming like an actual star. He's obviously not there yet. But he's definitely on the rise, and I am excited to see what's gonna happen next. Like where you go from here.
Yeah, they've used him. They've done very well with capitalizing off, like you said, the heat he's been getting. Obviously, all the drama that's been surrounding him, and then obviously you have the footage that got released. Then he returns at Dynasty, then has this interaction with Tony Khan. So I'm very glad they're doing it right so far, at least as of right now. And then it was also funny because obviously NFL draft has also just happened, and Tony Khan obviously being the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, he was selling it, and kayfabe was very much alive during the weekend. He had the neck brace on, And then I remember one of the players who got drafted to the Jaguars, they interviewed him, and they kind of talked like, oh, your owner, he was saying that he got Meltzer driver, and there's kind of explaining everything that happened to him. You can tell he just wasn't really, he didn't know anything else happening, really. Kind of was brand new knowledge to him, so I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, also, while Tony Khan was doing press for the NFL and NFL Network, he had some interesting comments about WWE and the competition. He basically called them the juggernaut of the company, which I'm kind of...
The evil juggernaut.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad, or not glad, but I'm kind of surprised he said that, because AEW fans will have you think that they're the number one. Obviously, in reality, at the end of the day, the number one company will always be WWE. At least, you know, I don't see it changing. But yeah, he calls them the evil juggernaut, and then also proceeds to call them the Harvey Weinstein of WWE. I don't really like the comments at all. Obviously, I get why he's saying it and stuff like that. It's just, you have the opportunity to put over your company, and instead you just trash the other company. It's probably not the right thing to say, if I'm being honest, but I'm no PR manager. I'll let Tony Khan do his thing. So
yeah, it's just been like a lot. I don't like this at all, really. It's just been like a lot coming from, you know, from the AEW side, and the main reason why I don't really like it is just because they made Edge kind of look, or Adam Copeland look stupid when he came out and made that whole like long promo, like 15 minutes of airtime of him talking, just to start doing all of this after. And then also on Collision, I forget exactly what match it was, what happened exactly, but they used rail glass on a car and he got slammed through it. So another like CM Punk mention, or you know, whatever, not mention, but you know, reference, I guess. But yeah, they've kind of been doing a lot with that, and I wish they would kind of just shut that down. Obviously, I get it, but if it's not being used by Jack Perry, I feel like it shouldn't be used at all. He's like the only person, maybe outside of the Bucks, you know, that should really have something to do with the CM Punk situation. But yeah, I really wish they would leave it alone. Calling him the Harvey Weinstein is insane. If you want to call, you know, McMahon specifically, or anyone who is like involved specifically, go for it, all for it, you know. Yeah. I agree. But to call the entire company that, like you're calling all the wrestlers that, you're calling everybody that when you say that. So I think that was insane. I don't really like it.
Yeah, and from Tony Khan being injured, we have some injuries that have been kind of talked about in AEW. On Sunday, when they were recording this, Darby Allin injury has happened. Obviously, we already know he's been injured with a foot injury. That's why he couldn't climb Mount Everest. And then, like I said, today he was announced that he got hit by a bus. Don't know how you get hit by a bus. Obviously, I hope he's okay and everything like that. But yeah, very interesting thing. It was very much Darby Allin thing to happen, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely on brand for Darby Allin. But it seems like he's okay. He seems to have walked away with a broken nose and, you know, a couple cuts and bruises, whatnot. But he seems fine, thankfully. But staying on the injury news, unfortunately, Dax Harwood did get concussed during that tag team match with the Young Bucks and FTR at Dynasty. Very unfortunate news. Obviously, never want to see someone concussed. But the good thing about it is, you know, that they were able to catch it. And, you know, nowadays, the medicine and doctors are so good that, you know, they'll catch it soon enough. And hopefully he'll be, you know, back on TV relatively soon.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously you don't want to see anybody get injured. It sucks. I don't know where the spot was that may have gotten concussed. I don't know if I would assume it didn't happen too early on in the match. Because if he was able to continue that, I mean, I don't know how many people are allowed to even do that, if anything, physically able to do continue a match while concussed. So, but like you said, continue on to the news. We also had Powerhouse Hobbs, who was in a match with John Moxley for the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He did suffer an injury. I think it was a knee injury during the match. Obviously, again, sucks to have an injury because, you know, in the day, you don't want people to get injured. You want everybody to be healthy because right now, AEW is, you know, starting to climb back up, and you want as many people on your roster as you possibly can. And for, you know, a guy like Hobbs, who has been there pretty much, I want to say, at least out of a month, he's there for like 3 Dynamites and Collisions. So, a very consistent guy on TV. Hopefully, he's not out for too long. Hopefully, it's just like a minor injury. But on some better news, though, we did have some returns announced. We have Kenny Omega finally returning to Dynamite this Wednesday. Obviously, not going to be an in-ring match or anything like that, just a promo most likely, or a backstage segment. But really excited for this. Obviously, I love Kenny and hope he gets healthy soon and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, he'll likely address being kicked from the Elite by the Young Bucks. I guess we'll kind of see what direction that storyline is going to go between him and the Bucks. Unfortunately, we won't see him for a while, it sounds like, as far as being, in the ring. But, always down to hear Kenny Omega talk regardless of what people say on Twitter.
Yeah. After that, we had Rey Fenix return on Collision. He went against Taurus. I don't remember his new name he has in AEW, but yeah, he's back. We haven't seen him in a long time. I think the last time we've seen him was the match with Moxley, I believe, for the Continental Champion or International Champion, I think. So yeah, glad to see him back. I know he's another guy who I'm glad is back. He's somebody who's a more highlight reel type of guy where you'll at least see one of his clips on Twitter the next day or for a few days after his matches and stuff like that. Speaking of debuts and returns, we have Grizzled Young Vets making their AEW debut. Very excited for them. They were released sometime mid last year, I believe, in like the last mass cuts from WWE last year. They've been doing some indie work. I know they were in DPW for a little while. But yeah, making their AEW debut. Really excited for them. Hopefully they're more of a mainstay for the company because they're a phenomenal tag team and have major potential to be potentially tag team champions. So really excited for them.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with them, so I don't have too much of a comment on that. But, always glad to see new tag teams in AEW to bulk up that division, kind of.
Yeah, and pretty much the final news of the video, we have Matt Hardy returning to TNA at Rebellion. Was very surprised when I seen him return because one, I didn't expect it, and two, he's been posting a lot of Bray Wyatt clips and stuff like that. So a lot of people got the assumption that maybe he would be involved in the Wyatt 6 storyline or the Uncle Howdy storyline that we seem to be getting closer and closer to now. But yeah.
Yeah, he also did not sign to them, though. He just made like an appearance, so he is still a free agent. So, there is still potential of him showing up for the Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy kind of thing going on. But yeah, pretty cool. He came in, I believe he had like a surprise entrance or, debut, I guess, versus Moose. So I think that was pretty cool for him to get in the ring with Matt Hardy because I'm sure, getting in the ring with someone, with the stature of him is always good for you, or at least you're good for your brand to say you were, in the ring with Matt Hardy at some point. Yeah, pretty cool. Excited to see what Matt Hardy does going forward. He also kind of announced that Jeff Hardy was potentially going to be a free agent come springtime, is the way he put it. So, yeah, potentially we'll see a Hardy Boys reunion somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I forget when it was announced, but there's legislation law that's apparently getting passed right now that there will be no more no-compete clauses in just, in work and jobs and stuff like that. So I wonder if it's going to have an effect on pro wrestling. Obviously, that's a very common thing we see nowadays with people getting released and stuff like that, having 90-day compete clauses. Some have 1As, I think I've seen. Some have 30s and 60s. So if that happens in pro wrestling, I'm very interested to see how that works because that means we can see a lot more names float around very quick and have guys and girls on their feet way quicker and back in rings quicker.
Yeah, they could literally be in WWE on Tuesday and then, AEW on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But as of right now, that's still not a thing, obviously, because Cameron Grimes did mention they did have a 90-day no-compete clause. So as of right now, that's not a thing, but hopefully that is something we see moving forward because that'd be incredible, because you don't want somebody to go essentially 3 months without a job, basically. Yeah. I'm sure that sucks, especially if you're kind of like, a lower card person. You're making a lot less money than a lot of the people, but yet you're still putting your body just as much on the line, if not even more, because you're trying to build your name up and, all that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the podcast. We kind of hit all the topics. We hit WWE, AEW, a little bit of TNA. And yeah, like I mentioned before, if y'all like the background, let us know. We kind of set it up a little bit better for y'all. We will have a new camera in as well coming. for our next video. So, upgrading us slowly but surely. And yeah, let us know any improvements that y'all would like to see us do, anything y'all would like to see us cover. Yeah, anything you want to add?
No, just pretty much thank you guys for watching this and stuff like that. Like I said, we will be having Backlash predictions coming out soon. We'll be recording a few more videos on the new camera. We'll be posting throughout the weeks and stuff like that, leading up to Backlash and then after Backlash as well. But yeah, let us know if you want us to add anything to the podcast, and kind of like topics or like kind of segments you want to add to this to make it more interactive with you guys and stuff like that. But yeah, if you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe, and thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you guys in the next video.